Greetings to you all, friends. My name is Chaplain Matt Dinkins, and I serve as chaplain at Matthews Glen. I want to think with you a moment today about the phrase good thinking. That may be something you've worked into your daily conversation from time to time. For example, if you're traveling somewhere and it begins to rain, and a friend of yours has an umbrella with them, you might say, "That was good thinking to have that umbrella with you on this trip." You might also use it sarcastically. It might get used more that way, honestly. Let's say you do something that isn't so smart. You're driving somewhere along a route that's very familiar, and you take a wrong turn, and your passenger tells you, "Good thinking." But of course, you know it was not good thinking. I don't know why it is. It seems like that's how I hear this phrase used more towards me than how it was originally intended. And that's something to think about another day. But however you've heard it, it's an important phrase. I think that was on Paul's mind to use good thinking when he was writing the letter to the Roman Christians. And he gives us a verse today to think about. It's a fairly well-known verse. I want to share it with you from Romans 12:2. It says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds, so that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." I remember when I was ordained, the pastor who gave the charge to me at my ordination service, Pastor Mitch Simpson in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, one of the things he told me was, "Matt, in your ministry, make sure that you make people think." And he said that because he recognized what Paul was saying here, the power of continually renewing your mind, of not growing stale and stagnant in your way of thinking and in your discernment of God's will. It's very much an active, ongoing process. And I think a verse like what Paul said here is important for us to remember in our good thinking and our discipleship. I think one of the things that is something we should always try to consider in our walks as disciples is the discerning of God's will is a continual growing thing. And if we don't see it that way, what can happen is we blur the line between our will and God's will. Because those are two different things. And sometimes if we're not discerning and we're not renewing our mind, what can happen is our will, we can think that is God's will, when in fact the two things are very different. And so I encourage you to be mindful of that today and ask yourselves the questions: am I trying to learn and to grow and to be open to change? Is my personal theology, is it so locked in that perhaps I've created my own will versus what is truly God's will? And I just encourage us all to be mindful today of that mindset, to continually be renewing our minds and discerning the will of God each and every day. It's my challenge to you all today. I wish you all a blessed day and a blessed week.